Hi everyone, this is the first video of the worksheet 3C, which we started before the break. So let's just kind of scroll through and see what we were doing. So we learned the other trig functions, tangent, cotangent, secant, and cosecant. And we saw their values at 0 and at pi over 2. We saw when they're positive and negative. And then we ended with this problem 3. True or false, tangent is undefined when the denominator x is 0. So the domain of tangent is all real numbers except 0. So I'm going to write up here tangent of t equals y over x. So we know that tangent is undefined when that x is 0. But remember that the domain is all of the inputs that make tangent undefined. And x isn't the input. The input is t. So we want to find all the values of t that make tangent undefined. In other words, all the values of t that make that x equal to 0. All right, so problem 4 says, let's find the actual domain of the tangent function. Since tangent t equals y over x, the tangent is undefined when x equals 0. Recall we are looking for the inputs where tangent is defined, because that's the domain is all the inputs where it is defined. So of course, first we want to find the inputs where it's undefined and then do everything else. So first we want to find a single value of t in radians where x equals 0. So let's look at our picture. X equals 0 at these 2 points. Oops. That was wrong. Let me undo that. Did you spot my mistake? This is 0, 1, and this is 0, negative 1. That's at the bottom. All right, so those are the 2 points where x is 0. Notice they're on the y-axis. So we want to find the angle measures that give us that. So here's one angle measure, and here's another angle measure. So that would be pi over 2 and negative pi over 2. We could also do 3 pi over 2. The different colors are not important here. 5 pi over 2. Let's think about what 5 pi over 2 is. So that's doing pi over 2 5 times. So 1 pi over 2 would end us here. That's pi over 2. 2 pi over 2s would be here. 3 pi over 2 is here. 4 pi over 2 is here. And then 5 pi over 2 would be back at the top at this little light blue dot. So 5 pi over 2 is another value. Notice that all of these numbers had something in common. They were all odd numbers times pi over 2. Let's try an even number times pi over 2, like 2 pi over 2. 2 pi over 2 would end us, well, that's pi, of course, so it would end us at the point on the left, which has an x value of negative 1, not of 0. So any even number times pi over 2 is going to be a multiple of pi, and it will not be a point where tangent is undefined. So it says, what are all of the values of t in radians where x equals 0? It's all of the odd multiples of pi over 2. So I'm going to write that as k times pi over 2 for k, an odd integer. So Odd integer means it's odd, and it could be positive or negative. These are the points where cotangent is, oops, that's a typo. This was supposed to be about tangent. I accidentally wrote cotangent. So these are the points where tangent is undefined. So it is defined everywhere else. State the domain of tangent. And it says you can use words instead of interval notation. So we just said the domain is everything except those values we found in part B. So all real numbers except k times pi over 2 for k an odd integer. So that's the domain of tangent. I'm going to write that in red over here. Domain of tangent. All right. Oops. What other function has the same domain? So we want to find another function that's undefined when x is 0. Let's go back to our functions. Undefined when x is 0, tangent, not cotangent, yes, secant, not cosecant. So secant has the exact same domain. So the domain of tangent is also the domain of secant. So I will add that here. Okay. Number 5 says, repeat the previous problem, but with cotangent instead of tangent. Recall that cotangent of t equals x over y, so it is undefined when y equals 0. And there's more room on the next page. This problem 5 is for you. So this is C quiz. It's called worksheet 3c, problem 5, video 3c.1. So I'm just going to write C quiz. So what I want you to do is to work on this problem, and then when you are done, put it into the quiz. You only have one attempt at the quiz, but you don't have to get a right answer, but you have to show that you've worked on it. When you submit the quiz, if you look at the feedback, it tells you the actual solution. So you can write down your actual solution afterwards on your paper. However, I don't want you to just say, I don't know. I want you to give it a real try, and you are absolutely welcome to discuss it with other people, with me, with the SIs, with anybody. You can go on Slack and ask questions about it if you want. You can talk to your friends. It's totally fine. The quiz is not graded for correctness, but I do want you to show that you have put effort into it. So I don't want you to just say, I don't know. All right, so that is due Wednesday, I believe. All right, so I will go on to the next video now. Let me know if you have questions. Questions are always welcome. If you put them on Slack, everyone might benefit from your question, but you're also welcome to email or send me a direct message on Slack as well. Okay.